Hello all, welcome to eLagan Whiteboard Friday. Today we are going to talk about ease of doing business from a startup's perspective. This is a commonly discussed topic these days. Ease of doing business. India is doing great. It has improved rankings in the international forums. But what does it exactly mean for a startup? Now, there could be thousands of steps that have been reduced, but those might be benefited only to the big enterprises. What about the startups? So today we are going to understand what exactly government has done under in various fields to ease the business for doing business for startups. The first and the foremost thing that has come, though it's industry wide and it definitely helps startup in particular, is the new simplified process of company incorporation. So gone are the days where you had to wait for months, just sign thousands of documents, and give all the physical copies to your CS or your chartered accountant, and they would take their own sweet time to register, and the process was never ending. So it had actually become a pain of registering a company in India. Now, government understanding this pain has come up with has come up with a new simplified way of doing of incorporating a company. So now, government has taken the help of technology, and with technology, they have actually removed quite a few requirements and made it a very simple process. So earlier you had to submit a lot of affidavits and lot of declarations physically on a stamp paper, and those had to be submitted to government by a way of e-form. What government has done is in this they have done away with the affidavits and the requirement of basically which in turn does not require you to obtain any stamp paper. So you can just sign on a white paper and give it. And second, the most recent change being introduction of Spice Plus forms, wherein basically even those requirements have been done away with, and you can just digitally sign these documents and submit online. Having said that, there are few declarations, a couple of declarations that still require a physical sign and a scan and submit it to government. But we are hoping this also would be done away with soon. So now, in a typical pre-COVID scenario, once the Spice Plus form came in, the company incorporation time had reduced drastically from weeks together to a good 1 week process. Good within a 4 to 5 working days, a company could be registered in India now, and that's a huge relief for everyone, for the service providers, for the startups, and it's a win-win for everyone. So this is the new simplification process that government has come up with. The second most important thing is once even earlier after registering your company did not mean that you can start your business right away. There were several local and central registrations that you had to take. Like for example, let's say shop and establishment registration, professional tax registration. If you have more than 20 employees, then registration under provident fund. And if you want GST to be applicable, then GST. If you have crossed the thresholds, then GST registration. Now, what government has done, government understood that most of these business registrations were working in at let's say at a 1970 technology. Maybe it was half of it was manual, a bit of it was online, and it always created a confusion and frustration amongst the startups. So what used to happen is you have to meet the officer, give him the documents in physical. Half the times it would work on the whims and fancies of the officer rather than a standard procedure. So half the times these documents had to be submitted physically to the officer, and it would largely depend on his whims and fancies whether to give or to approve the registration or not. So you were left at the mercy of the officer. But what government has done is now understanding this pain point. Government has, while registering the company itself, you can apply for various registrations like professional tax in Karnataka, or Maharashtra, then you can apply for the GST registration and Provident Fund registration, ESI registration. All these have been made as an integral part of company incorporation now. So, along with the company incorporation, you also get these regular business registrations, which saves you a lot of time and duplication of documentation. So it's a big welcome move, and as the government has promised that all these state registrations are also slowly being integrated. So in this step, Karnataka and Maharashtra are the first two states who have also integrated their professional tax registration with the company incorporation, and it's expected in future that even other states would follow, and even let's say a shop and establishment or any other registrations also would be integrated. So with that move, it would be like you would be up and running in no time and with no hassle. So third thing is opening of bank account. So again, earlier you had to register a company or an LLP, and post registration you had to approach a bank. They would ask you the same documents that you've already submitted to government, and then there'll be a lot of other things that follow, and you have to basically at the same time also give the documents to the government, also give the documents to the bank, and so basically there was a time gap between these two processes also, which not only led in delay in start of business activities, but also created a frustration because of duplication of documents. Now, again, understanding this pain point, what government has done is they have integrated opening of bank account with company incorporation itself now. So while registering for the company, you are given a choice to select a bank of your preference, and you are asked to give a NOC for them to contact you, and for government to share the documents with them. So once you do that, what happens is immediately once the company is incorporated, all the documents are automatically shared with the bank and with your preferred bank, and someone from that bank would get in touch with you and take only those necessary documents which are required for opening the account, not all the documents that they used to collect from you earlier. So that's also again a welcome move. It has actually simplified in many ways the process, and it's a very welcome move from government. The fourth important thing is the simplified process of registering as a startup. So there was once when the Startup India initiative had been introduced, there was a requirement that you get a letter of recommendation from a particular incubator, and only based on such letter of recommendations you were given a recognition. Then, with over time, government realized that it basically gave all the powers to the incubators, and incubators were not acting in complete honesty. So, government did away with this requirement, and they came up with another requirement which said, okay, you will get a registration certificate immediately, but you'll have to apply for a recognition separately, and such recognition would give you all the incentives under the program. Then government realized the recognition process took long for the startup to get the recognition from interministerial board, and what happened in return is they lost on several incentives which were not monetary for government, and startups could not enjoy those benefits such as winding up of the company or a concession in patent fees and stuff. So what government did is they have come up with an even simplified process now. You create your profile online on Startup India. If you are eligible company, your profile would be approved and you would be granted a recognition certificate from the board itself. And in turn, they've added one step extra that if you want to avail a specific exemptions under income tax, then you make a separate application under those sections and get those benefits separately. So just to highlight the few benefits that one gets in Startup India. So broadly, it's tax incentives. Tax incentives are like you can opt not to pay taxes for 3 years out of block of 10 years, and the second is also they were the famous angel tax. You need not pay angel tax. Then the third incentive is carry forward of losses. Earlier required that at least 51% of the shareholders have to remain same for you to carry forward your losses. But now, if you are a recognized startup, even that is done away with. Apart from this, there are quicker winding up benefits that a startup gets, and also basically benefits in terms of concession and fees of patents, patent filings and stuff. So this is a brief about the Startup India thing, but with the new simplified process of registering it, it actually enables the startup to get certain incentives which were by default not given earlier, and they have to wait for a recognition certificate. Instead of that, now just by registering, you get certain exemptions by default, and it's only for those specific incentives that you'll have to make another application online. So that's again a very good move by government. And as the time passes, as the government also, so Startup India is a new experience even for government. And as the time passes, they have been learning from their past experiences and they've been improvising it. So we are hoping that in years to come, it would be even more simplified and a very easy process. So, in another ease of doing business for a startup is enabling a quick exit option. So now exit has always been an issue in India. So earlier liquidations used to take anywhere from between north of 6 months to 1 year, or sometimes it would drag up to 2 3 years, also depending on the various how quickly the NOCs have been obtained and stuff. Now, what government has done is government understands that not all startups succeed, and there would be few startups that have to be closed down also. So to save them from such pain, what government has done is they've given an exemption to recognize startups. So now the exemption is basically not in process as such, but they have promised basically if you're a recognized startup, the entire process of closure would be done within 90 days. So that's again a very welcome move, because as we all know, not all startups succeed, and if in any eventuality it had to be closed down, the process is simple and quicker. So that's a very welcome move. So ease of doing business has been on government's agenda for a few years, and as the time has been passing over last 5 6 years, we've seen a great improvement in doing business in India from a startup's perspective. And soon we are hoping that there would be a even more simplified way of taxation, GST. We have plethora of law like TDS, GST, PF, ESN. There could be a time in future where you're just required to do one filing and it takes care of all the laws. So there's no headache, and saves you on time, compliance cost, and everything. So we are hoping this day would come soon. Yeah, until then, thank you. If you have any questions on this, please write us at hello@gigaban.com, and do check out our website for startup open source documents. Thank you.